Okay, so we're asking dumb SEO. Oh no, we're not. God help me. When it's social media Fridays, it's been a bad week. Each week we meet to wind down, and I guess after that effort, we couldn't be any more wound down than we are now. And we talk about things that happened in social media over the previous 7 days. With us today we have Tony McCreath, Adelaide's leading SEO, and he runs a website, websiteadvantage.com.au, and Masataki Wasa, webmaster of wasaweb.net in the UK. He's also a Google Top contributor on the AdSense and also the Google Plus Help community. Saved my life, Tony. The first topic that we had loaded in the Social Media Fridays community on Google Plus this week was a Facebook suggestion to unfollow a page, as if page administrators didn't have enough to worry about. What comments do you have on this?
I actually liked one of the comments in the post that if they're going to help users clean up their like profile, they should also be suggesting the other way around and saying, by the way, you can also subscribe, or you can find new pages this way. So kind of do a bit of both, because a lot of people like a page and a one-off thing, some promo, and they do want to clean it up. That page just annoys them, and they forget that they can't get rid of it. So why not also do a similar kind of little pop-up saying, you seem to be looking at this page a lot, why don't you subscribe, and then you won't have to go out the way to get their information.
Twitter makes it easy, don't they?
So, one button.
Masataki, do you have a comment on this one?
No, not really, but I think it makes sense because, as Tony said, people may have liked something once upon a time, and they no longer wish to follow a particular page. So, there's probably quite a lot of demand for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Naturally, it sort of contradicts the whole movement. Whole sort of push to increase likes, isn't it? So it's now you're putting water into a bucket with lots of holes in it to a certain extent. You might want to conduct a campaign to increase the number of likes, perhaps even pay for that, and a couple of weeks later, Facebook is suggesting that people unfollow the pages. So it's going to be interesting in that respect.
It should be good on quality for quite a few things, like you say there. If people are going to start unliking quick, then the businesses have to do more than just try and get that one like. They need to do more of a long-term plan of making that person like you forever. And it also means that these people's feeds will get cleaner. So the pages that they do like, they will see more often, and so, or the pages they really like. So businesses that are actually saying interesting and useful stuff to people should show up more often than they have been. So I think it's if they can keep pushing this, it's going to clean up and make the signals clearer of what people really like and not, and it should be good for everybody.
Yeah. And I just realised I forgot to set the time on that one. I'll come back and edit it later. All right. This is going to be a bad day. All right. The next one that was loaded into the Social Media Fridays community was a great clip, I thought, from Adobe. Did you guys get time to see that clip?
The woo-woo?
Yeah, we have to get on. Come on.
Did neither of you look at it, or both of you?
Yeah, I looked at it. Wasn't really sure what the message was. That I know guys in suits are idiots, or
Well, what did I think about it? I mean, obviously it was a parody, but I thought it's just so close to real life that it doesn't matter. You know, we have people getting millions and millions of dollars to do mad things, and it's just so typical. You know, while anyway, I don't know.
kind of on the startup idea.
Pardon?
On the startup idea, like startups get these millions to test out an idea. It's, see, I've got a few ideas. So if any kind of secret angel fund guys are there, send them to me, and I'll disappear in 6 months.
You see, Jason Kalkanis, he's an angel investor. He dropped a bundle on Mahalo and threatened to sue Matt Cutts. I wonder if that's why Matt Cutts went on holidays.
He's in a protection program.
I don't know. All right, have we covered this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's say that. And next we have a photo from Dave Besbris. Dave Besbris is the man who leads Google Plus development. Makes shiny things and bells and whistles, but doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the future of Google Plus as a collaborative platform. Anyway, I was surprised that there were so many people. It's not such a big project, is it, or not?
Maybe they roped in a few others just to make us think the project's still going.
I think they must have gone to a football match. You can see for yourself if you're watching at home by going to the Social Media Fridays community on Google Plus. You'll see that photo there. I would say there's probably, what, 300 or 400 people there?
Yeah, and he wasn't even in it. He was busy coding, he said. I think this is a part of a bit of a push to kind of counteract the Google Plus is dead thing. I thought it was good that they put themselves out there a bit, but it's probably there as a bit of propaganda.
I wonder, I mean, okay, look, let me say this. I don't think that Google Plus will ever go away. I think it will be a platform to share their photos and do tricky things, but I think that the possibilities of Google Plus in those early days was just enormous, and I think that fire has been put out. I mean, you know, for large scale collaboration, for crowdsourcing and so on. I think we are like quenched so much in Google Plus that we might as well be in a cocoon. You know, I mean, there's 54 million active users on Google Plus. and yet, you know, how do we, you know, reach across the divide? Do you know what I mean? I mean, we probably know or are circling, and we're allowed to circle 5,000 people out of 54 million. How do we get reach across that 54 million? We can't, can we? And so, you know, I think that's where Google Plus is heading. I think we are sort of in our own ideal echo chamber, and I don't think it's going to go. We're not going to be able to break out of that cocoon that confines us. I think maybe after today, you guys might give me the sack. Okay, let's go on to the next, and it's you'll have to tell me about this one, Tony, because I didn't get a chance to follow it up. Restaurant chain asks customers to punk competitors on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I thought this was a nice marketing ploy. Basically, they're promoting their customers to go to competitors and do selfies in the competitors' shops. Viewers at home can't see it, but they have a hand signal that you do, and so you get a photo of you, and it's 3 fingers up, which is meant to mean W or something. Can't remember offhand. But I thought it was a great idea to get your customers to be a bit more loyal than they are. To get them involved.
Yeah. Master Turkey?
Yeah, it's clever.
And for viewers, it's a restaurant, so you basically have it, or it's a fast foodish health restaurant type thing.
All right, let's move on to the next one. And this is one that I think that Facebook deserves a real kick in the bum for. And it's titled "Facebook Scientists Are Messing with Our Heads?" ? And it's to do with Facebook tinkering with users' feeds for a massive psychology experiment where they sought to influence people by the posts that they saw. You know, I mean, what is this, 1984?
I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of stuff's going on all the time from not just Facebook but all the others. This has just come out in the public.
I think once people become aware of that sort of thing, know that they might jack up a bit, don't you think?
Yes, I guess it is good, like awareness of things like this, that Facebook is constantly tweaking what they show you, and in this case it was actually to test positive and negative sentiment. So they could have been sending a certain person lots of negative posts and filtering out the positive ones, which is probably why this takes a bit of, people don't like it, because it is messing with your head. But they're constantly tweaking it, like with pages and whether they're in there, and picking and choosing what you see, and creating, I guess, the information bubble that was a popular term a while back. And they're definitely all at it. All of them have feeds which have got far too much information in, so they're picking and choosing what you see. And they've got to do it to make sure your experience is good. But is this going too far where they're actually doing psychological experiments on you?
I think it's not necessarily that they're testing things. It's, in a sense, trying to influence your emotional response and think either it's positive or negative. So that's in a sense it's not reflecting people's choices as such. People these social media platforms will necessarily have to filter things, and that would be on criteria such as what you've interacted with previously, what you've liked or plus one or whatnot previously. Those are sort of criteria. So the companies are not trying to influence how you feel or what you think. But once a company decides, okay, we're going to use our platform to make people feel a certain way, then that's a problem, because then you can say, are they going to conduct experiment with political views, social issues?
Mm.
Are they going to try to influence people's political or political allegiance or views on social matters? Obviously, that happens because people will be liking things or sharing things that are of certain slant, and as a result of that, you can filter things out or recommend things. That's one thing. But for a company to decide, okay, we're going to wield this power and we're going to make people think or feel a certain way, that is unacceptable. It's the intention behind this study that's problematic.
Yeah, that is a bit scary. It's affecting people's viewpoints and things. With the information bubble, there was talk about the problem that you don't get outside influence, so you're reinforcing your own opinion. So in this case, they could start feeding in external influences, but they control what type. So they could start biasing what you read towards a certain political thing. Yeah, that's pretty dangerous, and without something like this coming out, we don't know if that's happening.
Yeah, I think it's a bad thing. I think it's really bad form. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think
how do you control it?
Okay.
I'm really surprised that any sort of institution's ethical committee passed this study. I mean, I think because there was an academic institution involved in this, wasn't there? So I'm not so sure how the ethics committee worked, or the process of clearing that this is an ethical research. Because I think any institution that conducts these kinds of experiments will have to have some sort of process to make sure that the experiments that they conduct are indeed ethical. And I don't think it's defensible.
No, definitely not defensible. I don't think we've seen anything.
Sort of went ahead with it.
But where's the line? For example, like the businesses on Facebook are advertising there to try and influence me to, it seems, get married.
You too. Am I in a hangout with two single blokes?
Are you suddenly seeing single adverts?
People will start talking about me.
But that's why advertisements need to be clearly distinguished from editorial content. And obviously, sharing, liking, and then those things appearing on other people's walls and streams and whatnot. That's blurring the line to a certain extent. A person recommendation of a company, of a product, of a service. It's an indirect advertisement, isn't it?
Mm.
So the lines have been blurred in that respect.
And it's a new world problem, isn't it? So the earlier this is raised and people start looking into how to resolve it, the better.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think it's a bit depressing. Will we move on from these people, these ethical people at Facebook?
Yeah, the next post is super exciting, so it should be a lot better.
Well, look, here's another unethical person, because he says we're super excited about Google Plus, and yet they didn't even mention it at Google I/O. I mean, I admit that's a developers conference, but I'll bet any money you like, if we were to go back to the previous year's Google I/O, Google Plus would have been all over the shop. And he says that we're super excited about it. Well, I see no evidence of that. Do you?
Just to clarify, we're talking about Larry Page, and I think
Oh,
this is
sorry. Yes, it's an article on the Social Media Fridays community. It's titled "Larry Page on Google Plus. We're super excited about it."
I think is this from an interview at the I/O after he didn't mention anything about Google Plus? And I don't know, to me, every time he says something about it, it's almost like someone's primed him to say, can you promote this now? As if he doesn't really use it, he just, was it Chromecast is the promotion this time? Last time it was sparkly pictures and things. So I think, yeah, I don't think he's that involved in it himself. He probably knows the importance of the underlying data gathering that it's doing and infrastructure that it's creating, but he's not personally using it. He's not talked to me on it yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slow. I'm just doing something in the background. All right. Masataki, do you have anything to comment on Mr. Page?
Not really, no.
Okay. All right. Let's look at. This was how not to do social media. This was the apology that KLM had to make. Can somebody run with this one and tell us all about what happened? I think, Masataki, you commented on it a couple of times.
Yeah, I initially shared that. Essentially, KLM, the Dutch airline, tweeted after the Netherlands-Mexico match, in which the Netherlands won, and posted a picture of sign that says departures from the airport, and commented adios amigos. And there was apparently a man with a mustache and a sombrero. So, it was playing up to a stereotype, and essentially, just what would be the right word? Was rubbing salt in the wounds, I suppose, straight after the match. So that caused a bit of a stir in Mexico, and following that, KLM decided to delete that tweet, and that got picked up. That became a news, and then that's been shared and shared, and that probably hasn't done KLM any favors, unless you argue that any publicity is good publicity.
Okay. Very well. Let us go on to something that I posted today, and nobody has had time to read, I guess. I thought this was an exceptionally good article about 10 significant things that you likely didn't know about social media but should. This is an article on the Fast Company website. Did anybody have a chance to have a look at it?
I scanned through it, and I thought it's pulling in from a few sources I've recognised before, but it does bring in its own viewpoint on each, in fact probably better than the original source. So I did think it had some good snippets in it.
What impressed me most about the article was their mention of the six what were they, channels of Twitter. I hadn't considered that. Do you see that there? I think it's about the third one down.
Yeah, 6 structures of Twitter conversation networks. I guess all social media channels have those types of structures, and it's good to understand how your potential audience is behaving so that you can act towards the right way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think what you should do through the week when we post these articles, guys, the three of us should converse on them, and then it's just a matter of reminding ourselves that when we come to record this clip. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've started to try and put my own comment in on the post, and because you sometimes can't remember exactly what it was about.
I think this clip will be recorded in history as my worst. I'm just acting on the basis that the next segment of this clip I can't do any worse than I have already. All right, so we'll move on from that 10 significant things that you likely didn't know about social media but should, but suggest to you that you should read it. You'll find the link on the Social Media Fridays community on Google+. Okay, so we're on our 9th topic today, and it's Facebook reports month-long discrepancy in reach and engagement on pages. Can you tell us about that, Tony McCreath?
Just Facebook seems to have messed up on the reports they do for pages, and it's more of a heads up that if you run a page and things aren't looking like you expect, they've got a problem. And when I read it, they hadn't solved it. Something about will be resolved in the coming weeks. The comments. Watch out the data, and this can happen quite often. Google regularly reports problems with, or reports or has problems with Google Webmaster Tools going funny data and things. So it should be something people should always think. If it looks wrong, it might be wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Masataki, I don't think you're available, are you? No.
Well, I'm here. Sorry. Just...
Ah, great. We're dealing with the last topic. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's a short article, so it's very much saying that there may be issues with reporting. Obviously, it's a
Okay.
problem if you cannot rely on on the figures.
Is there anything that we missed putting on the Social Media Fridays community this week? Items of interest that popped up this week?
I just remembered, I think they announced Orkut is closing down.
Yes, that's true.
So I wonder how many people were still on that and hadn't transitioned.
Quite a lot, I believe. I mean, it's very popular in Brazil and in India.
So maybe they'll do a bit of a push to say move on to Google Plus now, because that's going to be here for at least another year.
Well, at least a year, maybe.
Yeah.
One would hope.
I saw a great comment. Actually, I'll go and find it. I'll just cut it for me. I'll just find this link for you.
Dum-de-dum. Yeah. Is that a bit of music from someone? I suppose we could do a little call out to people, viewers and things, that we have a community called Social Media Fridays on Google Plus, and we post latest social media articles on there, and it's open for anybody who's finds any news on social media to post and chat about articles there. And then on a Friday, like now, we go through them, and we're also open for other people joining us to chat about what's come up during the week.
Brilliant, Tony.
It's my marketing arm.
Yeah. I'm just putting a link to the post. It was John Mueller's post announcing the ending of authorship photos on search engine result pages, and the comment that I thought was very good, and I'll read it out. It was the about 3 up from the very end currently, and it was a comment from Mark Warner. He said, "Hi John, I know it is not your fault, but this is a really good example of why I believe Google has lost its way. Remember back, and it's not a very long ago, there was a fanfare about getting your picture on search engine results pages, how it was cool and helpful, etc., etc. And then we all spent time trying to get it to work, bombarding with questions about it, and then for some reason, and to be honest, I don't buy the mobile one, it is dropped. Personally, I rather liked it. It gave a bit more of a community feel, etc., but I digress. The reason why you haven't been seeing anything of me is that I realised I was spending nearly all my time chasing the next Google idea. Boy, how many days on page speed did I spend, not to forget microdata and the lovely, well thought out words for my search engine results page snippets were suddenly overridden by an algorithm that thinks it can do a better job and fails miserably. Earning from AdSense literally plummeted overnight with still no reasonable explanation. The list goes on. So again, I know it's not you, John, and it was real fun putting in the markup, following Mad Cut's videos, hanging out with you on G+, etc. But I cannot trust Google not to change the game in the blink of an eye. Not only can it, it does. So I really envy you being paid to geek around with it all, but as I eventually worked out, I am better off concentrating on other things and not chasing this week's Google hobby horse. As I said, I'm actually a bit sad about it, as it could be and was real fun. But it's a one-sided game with the big kid making and changing rules as he goes along, which, if you remember back to your school days, will eventually mean that no one will end up playing with him. Best regards, Mark. Good, well, very well said, Mark. I'm very impressed with that. Obviously, more comments will be added to that thread, so it would have been about the 264th comment at the time that we're looking at it.
And John replied. Did he reply after? Or?
He did, but well, I'm not sure that that's well. I don't know. That's up to you. If you'd like to read out John's reply, you're more than welcome.
Summarize. The only key thing in there is they never recommend chasing algorithms anyhow. Focus on your website and making it better, and not doing this latest trick that Google's invented.
Yes, but aren't these things that we've heard before? I mean, the point that was being made was that Mark was following the Google ideas. Well, you know, if Google doesn't want us to waste time on following those ideas, all they have to do is stop coming up with them.
And I guess the other argument is then Google will never get better.
Yes, but I mean, how did authorship make things better? It's no longer. I mean, how did authorship photos? How did that make things better? Given that they're not there.
Well, we don't have all the details of why, but and the exact motivation, but like they are actually still there for personalized search with Google Plus pages. So maybe it's another push towards getting people to go to the Google Plus version of I don't know.
I'm not sure what you mean there, Tony. What you mean if you search on Google Plus? Surely you see the profiles.
No. If you do a Google search, you're logged in. If Google Plus pages come in the search results, you will see the business page's logo or a person's profile.
I think that now, as it stands now, all you can see are business logos. Or am I wrong? Let me try.
Yeah, I have to say I didn't actually personally try it. I read that from an article. Or not, I can't remember.
In the news section, there's always a photo that comes up there.
Yeah, and still videos. There you go. I just typed in Masataki, and you're coming up as the suggest with your picture, so that's still there. Yeah. So. Oh, well, this is a very. I've just searched for Masataki, and you've got your picture on the right, so it's picked up your Google Plus account. Plus, your picture's also showing in the main result.
Yeah, it's definitely there for personalized search. I mean, if you logged in, I think they've gone from non-personalized search.
Yes, if I go anonymous, it's gone back down to just the author text. And someone wants to call me.
I think it's me. Or is it you?
No, it's me. It's someone calling me on Skype.
Ah.
So, like, their excuse was was it bad for mobile? And this is where I think, well, that's kind of bullshit. If it's bad for mobile, why does it still happen?
Mm-hmm.
If they call again, I might disappear to answer it.
Yeah.
I think, like, on Google changing and things, I'm a chaser. I chase the new thing they invent, and I know it tweaks and changes, and that's part of the game. If that's something that, like, for your typical business, I don't do it for my own research. I generally wait a bit for implementing it for my clients, and wait till it's stabilized. Obviously, authorship had got to that point, and I don't know. Some of my clients are going to lose that picture, but then we move on to the next thing we can do. Like you said, you've got the schema stuff, you've got rich snippets and things, and they're going to come and go. They're going to vary how they show, and that's just the game. So,
yeah.
But it's a problem, isn't it? Because you cannot future-proof things, as it were. You can't go to businesses and say, look, we are reasonably confident that this is going to be around for X amount of time. You can... it's that lack of stability, as it were. Or, you want to put it in a more positive light, I suppose, the constant changes and improvements.
Maybe Google will have to start coming up with a guarantee of how long something is going to last. If they continually disenchant people, eventually they're only going to rely on statements that this particular feature is warranted to be in use, say until 2015 or something like that.
Well, I don't think. Well, it wouldn't be clever for Google to dish out such guarantees, because things may change and there may be good reasons to discontinue certain things.
Of course. I'm not saying they don't have the right to do that either, but maybe they will disenchant so many people that there'll be no adoption of the thing that they're trying to promote.
Was it Tadshevchik who wrote, who wrote that piece about this is going to be the last time I trust Google? With regard to Google Plus, and how he was using the buzz before and so forth. Can't remember. I may be ascribing something that he had not said, but there is an element of.
I put myself in Ted Sheff's camp. I could not foresee a time. I could not see how they could possibly stuff this up. But they seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's.
Although, I mean, all right, I have to admit to churlishness. I mean, here we are, we're using a free Hangout conferencing system, which before it was put into place, we would have been paying yeah, hundreds of dollars a year for it, plus just for the sign up, plus fees for each minute that we're on the air. So yeah, maybe I'm churlish.
Yeah, I think
But they've provided you've set your business around that, or the whole. You got the sets of hangouts and weekly things, and what if they just take that away? The amount you've invested, that would be annoying for them to take away something on that scale where you've part of your life has been invested in it.
yeah,
Whereas
it's
I think
things away that's the issue. It's not sort of providing you with new things or improving existing things. You know, any change, any improvement, will cause some people to be what would be the right word, unhappy. You know, but taking things away, taking existing functions away, that's always more of an issue.
Mm.
Because it does feel as if you've wasted your time and effort. You invested in something, and then it's sort of taken away from you. If it's changes,
changing is bad. Like Facebook, every time they change the interface.
so
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
so
I think. Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I'm just going to make the point that so the ultimate thing that Google has done is to shut things down. So it might be Google Reader, for example. When that was announced, there was a huge cry about it. And Orkut now. It's going to be interesting how Orkut users are going to react. What they're going to do afterwards. And that's sort of the ultimate thing they can do is to close things down, and it would make total sense from Google's perspective, but from the user perspective, and people who have invested quite a lot of time into creating the lists and so forth, then it is. I think people take it personally, and understandably so. And that does lessen the confidence that people have in a company, because you never know when it's going to pull the plug on something. It's that you live under that uncertainty, or an element of uncertainty, and that's obviously not a great thing. And if it happens to you a number of times, then you start to think, is the company going to do that again?
Mm. Well, we have an exit strategy in that we have a copy of every clip that we've recorded since the first one on the WCOquestions.com site. I just put in the chat there the link to the summary page, and you'll see that the MP4 and the MP3 are available for download. And they're not on Google; they're on our own site. We are. We do have an existence as WCOquestions.com, so they could close Google Plus tomorrow, and we would still run a weekly hangout. And I think that we could go from there. But one of the reasons why that other strategy that we discussed in the green room is that I think it's important that we broaden our base so that we're not absolutely totally dependent on Google Plus users.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because a lot of businesses are that they lose their search ranking, and then they complain to Google that they've lost the business. And it's not fully Google at fault. It's you're being so dependent on one. These people are dependent on one keyword. That's just such a high risk business venture. It might be lucrative for a while, but you can't really blame Google for your poor business structure when that thing doesn't work anymore.
Mm. But, I mean, to be fair, I mean, WCO questions, it's more of a passion than a business. I don't see it. Well, it's growing all the time, but I think it'll be a long time before we grow to the point where it's considered to be business-like. But also, if we find a way to monetize it, obviously it would be shared by the panelists based on our input. You wouldn't get a share, Tony, because you're not there enough. Oh, yeah. Well, should we keep him in at Masataki? No comment. Masataki wants your share too, Tony.
I've got family in England.
Oh, okay. That's a baseball type.
Anyway, 15% of 0 is still 0, so we don't need to worry about that, I guess, for a little while. I still think I still have plans to write, or not me write, but our panelists write, Dumb SEO Questions, the book.
Or Social Media Fridays, the book.
Yes. Do you think we're skilled enough yet, though?
No. It depends on what the subject is. Would it go under comedy?
Pardon?
Put it under comedy. Fiction.
I think I think I just missed something there. Anyway, I think we've got a way to go, but I think we'll get there too. But anyway, Social Media Fridays, the book. Yeah.
The movie.
I wonder if David Ameland would buy a copy.
Should I promote his book again?
I'm just looking around for a copy of Semantic Search, but I can't see it. Oh well.
Yeah, mine's by the bed, so that I can read it every night.
France, the Taste of France. Masataki, like that. It's the only book on my desk at the moment. Yeah. Well, look, what else do we have to discuss, guys? If not, we should terminate this and go to Green Room. We do have one viewer left, and there we are. Angie just presented me with this. There it is. Google Semantic. As I say, we do have one viewer. So in the Social Media Fridays community, I think it is, or on the event page for Social Media Fridays number 11, if you just search for that, you'll find a link to join us. We'll be off the air, and you can say what you want. And we'd like to know who it is that's still sticking and listening to us after probably my most disastrous effort of chairing this panel.
I got one more thought on the last subject.
Yeah.
Is something like one of the problems with Google is they've got their fingers in so many pies, is that they can just abandon some of them. They can just go, let's try this, throw it away. So apart from their core stuff like AdWords and search, the rest is optional. Whereas Facebook, Twitter, Facebook can't throw away social, neither can Twitter. So you've got that. You pretty much can trust that Facebook is not going to disappear and stop doing what it does for a long time. Same with Twitter. Whereas Google can easily afford to drop Google Plus if they want and go in a different direction. So that kind of fuels that problem.
Yep. Yes, that is true. I mean, I think where a lot of things fall down is that the Google approach is to find a way to program it. And so, let's say take Google Shopping. Google Shopping is going to fail because it's a people business, and Google's not a people business; they're a programming business. So, I think if Google could only realise that they're wasting their time getting into things like um, travel, the airline industry. Again, it's a people business. It's not a matter of putting the data on the screen. People just don't open up their wallets and hand over a credit card for $6,000 without talking to someone. It just doesn't happen. And I think that's where I think that's what Google fails to realise. So they jump in gung ho into these things, and then wonder why they fail. Well, they fail because their route is to program things, and that's fine. They're exceptional at that. They do that impeccably. But where they're failing is when they've chosen to go into a people, a business which requires human interaction. They fail miserably at that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at shopping, and you're right. It's so sterile and just information.
Yeah, exactly, and mostly inaccurate. Mostly inaccurate. Some poor sap, stayed up till 3 a.m. one morning with a cursing either Microsoft Excel or Google Docs spreadsheet. Driving himself mad trying to transfer his product list from there, and then cursing blue murder when Google suddenly changed all the fields. But they finally got it up there. And do you think they'll go back and change it? No way. It'll stay there. It doesn't matter if the prices are wrong. It doesn't matter if the product's discontinued, sold out, never to be seen again. We're still there because it's so painful to do that stuff. Anyway, that's that. All right. Well, look, for the viewer that's still left watching us, thank you so much. You take it. I beg your pardon? Angie wants to know, maybe he's fallen asleep. That's very good.
That's my car horn. We'll wake him up.
Well, look, if you're still awake, thank you for watching, and we'll be back at the same time next Friday. I've gone to the social media Fridays community on Google Plus, and I've placed a link into the post for this hangout. And all you have to do is click that link, and you'll be able to join us. We'll be off the air, and we'd love to have a chat with you. Thank you very much.